People, morning and welcome to this new episode of Trini Trent TV, where we talk about the hits, the songs, the eras, the artists, and of course the albums that we love. And in this episode, we're doing something very special. We're going to be talking about a visual album, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. You say I have on a little dashiki. It's because we are talking about Beyonce's Black is King. So in this video, what I'm going to do first is share my story of how I got into the music of The Lion King, The Gift. That's the music that supports Black is King. Then I'm going to talk about the album in a little more detail because I don't want to just blow past it and dive into the visuals. I really want to talk about the music. Then we're going to talk about how it was received by fans and critics. Then we're going to dive really deep into Black is King, really going through all of the different messages and all of the different interpretations that I have of it. And then, of course, we're going to end with awesome songs, aka my favorite songs from the record, but this time with a twist, because we're also going to talk about my favorite videos. When I first heard that Disney was going to be doing a remake of The Lion King, I was curious, but not really. I really was a little detached, and that's because I feel like in many ways music and film and pop culture, we're stuck in this cycle of nostalgia where we're going around and around in circles. Everything is a sample. Everything is a reboot. Everything is an interpolation. Everything is a remake. And it just feels as if we're not really progressing. We're looking backward at the past and we're not trying to innovate and be creative for the future. It's kind of like rehashing the same stories, making the same music, making the same themes over and over and over. But then what caught my attention was when I heard that Beyonce was going to be doing her own individual album, her own standalone soundtrack to the film. And I thought that was interesting, a film with two soundtracks, because it wasn't just going to be the simple Disney soundtrack. She was going to be doing her own independent project. And I said, that's curious. And as I listened to the album, what really blew me away was the fact that it was a song cycle. I felt like I was following a story from start to finish. She brought in all the different elements of the film as well as creating all of this new original music. And what I loved about it is that it was so organic to me. It was this beautiful blend of different styles and sounds of not just African music, but Black music and music of the Black experience from across the diaspora. Listening to this, I heard hip hop, I heard R&B, I even heard some gospel on songs like Spirit, and then I heard Afrobeat and then Afro beats. I just learned that these are two very different genres. I am very amazed and I'm very happy about this. I learned something new in this process. But I heard Afrobeat and then I heard Afro beats. And then I also heard little elements of, dancehall. And then I also heard, with Shatta Wale. And then as I heard little traces of soca in there. And I said, what is this? I'm really enjoying this. And to me, what this record represents, The Gift, it represents a bit of the past, the present, and the future. It shows us where music has come from. It shows us where we are right now, and it shows us where we're going next. This merging of these sounds from across the diaspora, where music is no longer isolated and being created in silos. It's being created in this beautiful blend, this coming together of the waters, where we're all united now, or at least getting to that point in the music. But as much as this album draws influences from different parts of the world, it's really rooted in Africa. And this is something that Beyonce really wanted. And she said this in the making of The Gift. Listen, I did not see this when it aired on ABC last year. And I just have to say thank you to whoever put this on YouTube. You saved me a lot of stress. But when she made the album, she did a making of, and it came out on ABC last year. It was a big special, got a huge amount of views. And she said this: I did not want to take away the grit and the reality because they are very adult underlying life lessons in The Lion King. I did not want to water it down. I also did not want to lose the authenticity of Africa. It all starts with the drum beat and the groove. You see, Beyonce wanted to make something that was raw. It felt natural. It felt real. It felt like Africa. It felt like the Black experience in its true form. And that's what I really got while listening to the Gift. I felt like I was listening to something that wasn't generic. It wasn't an imitation. It wasn't somebody trying to sound African. Rather, she pulled together all of these different great African artists, producers, writers, and really created something that was real and true to the African experience. So now let's talk about how the gift was received. Henna, looking real dark and ominous, eh? I feel like I inside the visual album, like, I inside the Don't Jealous Me video. And I got to start a dance. Anyway, let me stop. Let me stop and focus. When we talk about how the gift was received, that reception, I think about, the whole track record of Beyonce's albums. And this album is probably one of her slowest sellers, if not the slowest seller thus far. It hasn't had a major impact commercially. However, it has had amazing critical acclaim. I mean, I think it won 3 NAACP awards, which is a big deal in my opinion. And then, of course, we could look at the Grammys. Now, some people would say it was snubbed at the Grammys, and in many ways, I felt it was a bit overlooked. I remember when the nominations came out, and I asked a friend of mine, did it get nominated? He sent me the nominations list, and I only saw some nominations, and one that caught my eye was Best Pop Vocal Album. And I said to myself, wait, Best Pop Vocal? You see, that's because the Grammys is so focused on cookie cutter. It's so focused on the categories. And this is what hip hop sounds like, or rap sounds like. This is what soul sounds like. This is what R&B sounds like. This is what gospel sounds like, and jazz. They try to slot everybody into these boxes. And when they're not quite sure, they just slide into pop, or they slide into world music, because they don't really know where to put you when you're making these styles of music, especially real, raw, vibrant, fluid styles of music that crosses the genre boxes. So when I heard what happened with the gift, at first I was disappointed, but with further thought, I wasn't shocked. For real? So now we finally get to Black is King. We really getting into the visual album now. But before I really get into it, I want to kick things off, open the door with a quote from Beyonce. She said this on Instagram when she first released the trailer to Black is King. She says, "I believe that when Black people tell our own stories, we can shift the axis of the world and tell our real history of generational wealth and richness of soul that are not told in our history books. With this visual album, I want to present elements of Black history, an African tradition with a modern twist, and a universal message on what it truly means to find your self-identity and build a legacy." You see, what Beyonce did with the visual album Black is King, now that we've gone past the music and into the visuals, what she's done is really reframe the story of the Lion King, rooted it in African tradition, brought some history into it, brought some modern perspective into it, and really made something that felt real to us as African people. It's not just about animated pussycats and talking birds and Timon and Pumbaa singing Hakuna Matata on a log bridge and eating snails. Black is King follows a young boy, a young African prince's journey to manhood. And it shows him on this journey as he steps into adulthood and discovers and gets back to himself, connects to his ancestors, and evolves into being a king, stepping into his kingship. And in its creation in itself, Black is King is revolutionary to me. Because so many of us in the African diaspora, through the experience of chattel enslavement, we have lost our connection to ritual. We have lost our connection, that traditional connection, to that transition into adulthood, especially young boys. We lost our connection to that stepping into manhood. So many young Black men are kind of stumbling in the dark. So many of us are just figuring it out as we go along. Well, that basically describes the whole millennial experience. But, we're just trying to figure it out as we go along, and we're not quite sure where things are supposed to go. And, there's a quote by an unnamed African-American man in the video for Nile, at the end of the video for Nile in Black is King. And he says something that was really powerful to me. He says, "When it's all said and done, I don't even know my own native tongue. And if I can't speak myself, I can't think myself. And if I can't think myself, I can't be myself. And if I can't be myself, I will never know me. So Uncle Sam, tell me this. If I will never know me, how can you?" So many people tell young Black men how to be, how to act, how to walk, where you should stick your dick when the night come. Many people try to tell us how to be in this world, but we don't know what it really means to be a young Black male becoming an adult. We don't understand that. Many of us, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, we're still just boys in men's bodies. We have the physical form of a man, but we don't really have the mentality of a man. We don't have the soul and spirit of a man because we've lost touch with who we are. And we're still on this journey for all these generations after slavery, trying to figure that out. And as we look at the music, I would say the two real definitive points when it comes to Beyonce talking about the Black experience. It started with Lemonade and now we've gotten to Black is King. These are two very important points here. Because in Lemonade, what she did is provided a lens to show Black men the destruction that they were inflicting upon Black women. But in Black is King, she takes that lens and transforms it into a mirror to show Black men the destruction that they are inflicting upon themselves, especially as we try to live down, not live up, but live down to the ideals of masculinity that are set upon us by colonialism. Trying to tell us, the world is telling us how to be. But in her work, what she's doing is showing us how we are destroying ourselves and our communities and robbing ourselves of a legacy when we try to live up to what other people tell us is the ideal standard of masculinity. And in Black is King, it really stresses in us the importance for Black men to rediscover who we are and celebrate each other. I think about the video for Already. And I think about, in that is about be your own king. I love that message. I think it's Shatta Wale who's on that record with her. Be your own king. Don't let anybody tell you who you are. And I love that message because it's just constantly reinforcing the importance of finding who you are on your terms without having the world dictate that to you. But Black is King is not just about Black men in a vacuum. He's talking about also how Black men relate to Black women. We're talking about the importance of relationships with Black women in our lives, not just spouses or partners, but also the women, children, mothers, ancestors, everybody around us and how we step up as a family and as a community. And I love the fact that it emphasizes the importance of Black men nurturing and taking care of and supporting and celebrating the beauty of Black women. I mean, they do that in Brown Skin Girl, where they really show Black men as fathers and as nurturers, as caregivers, and showing how their love can uplift and celebrate young Black women and all Black women. And I really love how they drive that home by also including the imagery of different types of Black women, of all the different shades and even different ethnicities. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a very large East Indian woman population. So for me to see brown skinned East Indian women in this video, that was powerful for me because that's something that's often not discussed a lot in the Western world about skin bleaching that occurs not just amongst people of African experience, like, we see in Jamaica, we even see here in Trinidad, but it happens with women of the East Indian experience and their experience with colorism. And I love how this video for Brown Skin Girl challenges us to look beyond what people are telling us is beautiful. And Beyonce actually says this, we were beauty before they even knew what beauty was. And this is part of a cycle. It's a beautiful cycle. Well, it's our own little circular life in the community. Because by Black men nurturing and uplifting and celebrating all Black women, we empower them to therefore stand beside us, not behind us, but beside us, and in some cases in front of us. I mean, if you look at the Black Lives Matter movement, the women are on the front lines. They stand up strong and empowered and are able to fight with us against all of the different pressures of the world. By us uplifting them, they are able to uplift us. And that's really captured in the video for My Power, because we see these Black women out there in all their strength and all of their glory. You even have a pregnant woman dancing hard. Beyonce said this song was inspired by the scene in the remake where the lionesses, they stand up, led by Nala, stand up, and Queen Sarabi, can't forget my fave. They stand up to fight alongside Simba against Scar and the hyenas. And this really is captured in My Power because we get to see these really powerful Black women stand up, ready to fight and show that they are not backing down. They are not just pawns in this game. They are queens ready to fight alongside the king. So now let's talk about awesome songs, where I'll quickly talk about my favorite songs and videos in Black is King. Now, this is a visual album. So at first I had my individual songs that I liked, but because of the visuals, my opinion slightly changed. So these are my favorite song/visuals on the record. Number one, and this is in no order, I'm just calling it out in just random order. The first one I'll talk about is Find Your Way Back. I love this this visual, and I love this song. What I love about the visual is that we get these little odes to the Dogon people, and we get the odes to the African art of masking. So I loved how Beyonce really put that in the forefront of Find Your Way Back. I love the way she edited it. I love the outfit that she had on with all the sparkles and the jewels. And of course, I love the message of the song, saying that no matter what you go through in life, you can always find your way back to yourself. The next awesome song is Water. I really, really love Water. I felt that Water, to me, was very exciting. It was the most exciting song and visual on the record. It really caught my eye. And the reason for that is because it was this explosion of color. You know, it was vibrant. It was alive. It was colorful. It felt so real to me. And the reason for that is because the tempo of the music and the melody kind of reminded me of soca music. And I said to myself, somebody in that studio was listening to soca, because this is giving me a soca vibe. And then also, I love Beyonce's ode to the art of, you know, the basket carriers and the water carriers. You know, when I was little, I used to go to the market with my grandmother in a place here in Trinidad called the Quasi. And I used to see these women with these big calabash gourds on their heads carrying stuff. And I always used to be so amazed by how they were able to balance all this stuff on their necks. And you know, Zarina Akers, who spoke to Good Morning America, she's a costume designer on Black is King. She said that Beyonce specifically wanted to pay homage to that art. So it was really powerful for me, because it took me back to my childhood. It made me feel like home with the music and the visual. The next awesome song that I really loved is Already. I love the visual. I love seeing black men celebrate and uplift each other. I love the choreography. I love how hard everybody was dancing, especially Beyonce. And I love her style in the video. I know I love the black and white. That was actually one of my favorite looks in the whole of Black is King. The black and white. She had on the gold chain. She had the bantu nuts and the baby hairstyle. And she had, you know, the shades. And she was going crazy. I love that video. The next awesome song is Spirit. I love this song because of the message. I love how it speaks about that real experience of life. I love the way that Beyonce sings it. I think she sings it so impeccably, like especially in the visual, the Black is King visual, where she starts with that a cappella. And then I also love the video with the dancing. You know, Johanna Blunt, she's one of the choreographers of the video in Black is King. And for Spirit, because Spirit was actually the first video that they shot, which was supposed to be a one-off, and it became a whole visual album. But Johanna Blunt spoke about the fact that in this process, she was never asked to, you know, strip anything away. She wasn't asked to dilute it or to make it more pop or make it more hip hop or just make it simpler. She was allowed to keep it organic and true to many styles of African dance, specifically South African dance. So I was really, really moved watching the video, and I actually felt to get up and move because I felt like it was real. And the final awesome song is Brown Skin Girl. As I said, I love the fact that they included East Indian women. I love the fact that they touched on all the different shades of blackness. I love seeing the guest stars, especially Kelly Rowland. Actually, I'm not going to lie. When Kelly Rowland came on the screen, I teared up, because I know about that real relationship that she has with Beyonce. And the fact that Tina Knowles has always encouraged her to embrace her skin, you know, the color of her skin. And you know, Kelly once shared a story about she used to hide away from the sun because she didn't want to get darker. And that's something that I heard many women here have said over the years, but one woman in particular, I get in yellow. One woman earlier this year, she was talking to me and she said, you know, she doesn't play carnival. She doesn't play mass, as we say here, because she doesn't want to get darker. You know, she had to mind her color. And I actually shared Brown Skin Girl with her. She never got back to me on the song, but I spoke to her about the message of that song and how beautiful it is. And I felt that it was something that, you know, after we spoke about colorism, I felt that it was a song that she could be touched by. I never hear back from the woman. She probably feel a little offended. I don't know how. But anyway, I hope that in some way it touched her the way it touched me. Here now, I give you plenty talk. Endless talk. I talk. But I had to do it because I love this visual album. Thank you very much to you, Beyonce, and everybody who was a part of this. It's not just a Beyonce show. Everybody, all of the different filmmakers, the different creatives, the dancers, the costume designers, the editors, the producers, the songwriters, the artists. Oh God, my mosquito bite me, my ankle. Itching. But I really, really enjoyed this. I had an amazing time. This will go down as one of my favorite works. So what I want for you all to do now is leave a comment. Let me know what was your favorite songs and videos. What were your favorite songs and videos on Black is King? Here now, my vocabulary teacher from primary school just cussed me for saying what was your. But what were your favorite songs and videos on Black is King? You know, let me know 3. No, I gave you 5, so you give me 5. Tell me what were your favorite songs and then what were your favorite videos. Let me see how they were different. Because to me, they were slightly different, but I will save that for a future conversation. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'll catch you next time here on Trini Trent TV.